It happens.
All right, and as far as number 7, Oregon, they'll be going to USC, and I don't really get to watch. Now, that's the type of games I don't really get to watch a lot of those out west games because I'm usually
that's a 3-hour time
difference.
Yeah,
and they come on so late,
Yep.
so I'm usually asleep at that
Yep.
time. But I like Oregon, and I like what they have. And something you might not know is there is a transfer at Oregon who transferred from Indiana State who actually – I don't know if he gets like actual playing time, but I know he gets in the game sometime. His name is Hakeem Woods Jr. So if you guys could ever look him up, he's pretty decent. But I'm giving it to Oregon. They've been fighting pretty hard.
It's gonna be a good Pac-12 matchup. I'm going Oregon as well.
Yeah. Now, Indiana State basketball.
Hold on, let me sit up in my chair.
This is something you've been waiting for I don't know how long.
I've been waiting for the basketball seasons to end as soon as they lost in the conference tournament last year. I'm not even kidding.
And you guys, you actually got to watch Indiana State last year.
I was calling them.
You got to see all of what went down. Down. They ended 15-16, if I'm not mistaken.
I know they were. Yeah, I think so. And
so what's the what happened exactly? Can you tell me? Because I know I've looked at stats and I've looked at things on paper, but you were actually there, and eyes are better than numbers.
So they started off non-conference at the beginning of the season. They were hot, and it was like, this team's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and they're going to be a dangerous team in the conference play. Then they went to Hawaii for the Diamond Head Classic tournament. They beat Colorado, which was huge in the first round.
Yeah.
Beat UNLV second round, another huge game. Jordan Barnes popped off. My man shoots lights out. Then they got to the championship against TCU, who they had lost to right before they went to Hawaii. They played down in Dallas. They lost to them. They got beat again in the championship. Yeah. It's like, all right, this team went to the finals. It's cool. They're hot. This is a good team. And then conference play started. And a fact about this team last year is after Hawaii, the entire conference play, they didn't win back-to-back games. You can't have that. You can't. And their consistency is what killed them last year.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask why, but I'm glad you said that. What's the expectations coming into this year? Well, that you would say, because I got a chance to talk to some like people on campus, and some people say like, oh, well, we're going to be good. And then there's some people that's like, nah,
right,
we're not going to be that good. We got the same people. So what do you think?
So like I said last year, what killed them, and it sucks to say, and it's probably going to suck to hear for certain people, but Jordan Barnes just wasn't consistent. He was smacking non-conference, and then conference play started, and man, it was something happened, and he just wasn't playing as well. He wasn't shooting the ball as consistently, and then it was really only up to Tyreek Key, who I love Tyreek Key, dude's a boss. But if those two can lead that Indiana State backcourt, and then you have Christopher Agbo, the transfer, in the paint, they have the potential to be dominant, but I think it's going to really rely on Barnes and Key's play this season.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the schedule right now, and they have a couple key games. Obviously, all of the conference games are key games. Yeah. You need those wins, but I'm looking at some of them. They head to Dayton.
Season opener, November 9th.
That's actually a big game. Sold out. I got a chance to talk to some of the players, and they kept on saying, like, oh, yeah, it's going to be sold out. Both of the first two games are going to be sold out.
Yeah, and tell them who they played next.
The next
second game
is also a big key game. That's at Louisville at the Yum Center. And I feel like Louisville, if they can beat Louisville, that'll be exactly what they need as far as momentum-wise heading into the season.
Yep.
But even if they did lose, beating Dayton, beating Ball State, those are big wins. You got to beat teams like Ball State because they're in Indiana. I'm sure you're battling for recruits. So those types of teams are big.
And that game is at Bankers Life. It's in Indy.
Yeah, and that's another. I wanted to go, but they're charging the students too much, so I won't be there.
I heard students were $10.
Yeah, I'm not paying $10 to watch Indiana State basketball. It only costs $3 to go to the Louisville game.
I get it. That's true.
All right, but obviously all the in-state, all the in-conference games are big. Also, you're going to see them. You're going to see all of those teams twice.
Yep, one here, one there,
which is good. And then you get to split those wins, which is also an important thing. Leading into the conference.
And also, they got Cooper Neese and Christian Williams. They couldn't start last season like the beginning because of transfer rules, but you have them for a full season now. They have about a half. They had all of conference play under their belt, so they played the whole conference season last year. But them doing well also is going to hold a lot of value to this team. Cooper Neese, everyone knows, dude's a boss behind the arc. I think he's expanded his game a lot. I actually noticed it last year. And then Christian Williams, the dude is unstoppable in the open court, and I think he should be the primary ball carrier for the Indiana State team, and then have Jordan Barnes come off ball, do a lot of off ball stuff. But yeah, him and Neese improving, and then Ken Lansing, the coach, keep the team locked in and consistent all year. And
that's typically a hard thing to do as a coach.
Oh yeah,
keeping your team locked in, especially with media and fans.
And if you're losing, if you're losing, man, it's hard. But one thing I've noticed, and I noticed it as soon as the season ended last year, I think the team is ready, and I think they're excited to get back out there, because I think in their eyes the last season was a disappointment, and this is Barnes' last year, so I think they're just trying to go. I'm excited.
Yeah. Now another big thing that's been going on lately is everybody's been talking about Baker Mayfield, the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and the reason why.
I'm disappointed in him so far this season. The Browns, I was high on them.
I was definitely high on him, especially coming out of college.
Yeah.
I thought that, I was like, yeah, but what ended up happening with these two is it was a guy named Tony Grossi. He's a radio and TV personality. He works for ESPN in Cleveland. And basically what happened is, I don't know the exact thing. You can't really hear it well. Yeah. Matter of fact, we're going to let you listen to it in a minute. But basically, he asked them about a call. Well,
it was like just an in-game decision.
Yeah, it was like the urgency at the end of a play. I guess they wanted to take a flag instead of wasting a timeout.
Yep.
And he asked.
It seemed like there was a lack of urgency there. Was something going on?
There was a penalty, so we were negative yardage.
No, but there was a lot of time between snaps.
Well, when the penalty happened, then we're behind the chains. No, stop saying but. I just told you the clock was running and we had a penalty. Do you want to give them the ball back? No, you don't play. You don't know it. That's just plain and simple. Was I happy with the drive? No, we didn't score points. It's the dumbest question you could ask. What? Jesus, Tony.
Dude, Jesus, Tony.
He asked a stupid question. He said, because you can barely hear what the reporter says, but he says that they took a lot of time between snaps.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, that happened before halftime, and you're asking this man, was this after the game or like?
It was after the game.
So you held on to them taking too long in between snaps throughout the whole second half. You said, I'm going to ask him about this after the game. That's stupid. It was a stupid question. And I get Baker Mayfield's frustration. You know, I just, that was stupid.
I mean, this is how I feel about it. I feel like I understand his frustration because I've been an athlete before, so I know. But this is the thing. Once you start, he went to Twitter, and he made a tweet.
Yeah.
I don't have it, but you can go ahead and look it up really quick. What happened was, I guess he went on Twitter and he started talking about how the passion.
Yeah, I can read it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead and read that.
He tweeted, everybody wants to hear the truth until they actually get it. I am who I am, and I always have been. Don't call it emotional when it's convenient, and then passion when it fits. I care about winning, so yeah, I'm frustrated. If I was to act like it's okay to lose, then y'all would say that I've got complacent. My sense of urgency is at an all-time high, and if I offend anybody along the way, that's too bad.
Now, what he's saying, I agree with.
Yes,
that is true.
Yes, it
is.
But
I just feel like he shouldn't have went to social media with it just because he's an adult.
Yeah.
But, I don't feel like I don't feel like you should walk off the podium because the question wasn't that bad. It isn't like he asked him anything personal or anything.
Yeah.
But
he was just fed up though. Like,
I understand.
Coming
I know
off a loss, their
lose.
season's kind of disappointing right now. Like, that's the last thing he probably wanted to hear. But he, like you said, he could have handled it better. But yeah.
And I'm not the type of guy who wants to defend the media either when they get like cussed out, because you know what you're getting yourself into before you go in there.
Dude, that's what you do right now. You interview people after games. We've sat into the coaches after the games.
And you know not to ask them anything that would make them upset like that. But like I said, I don't feel like it's that much of a problem. I don't think he should, like, people should be upset with Baker Mayfield, because that's something that you have to be in a player's shoes to understand how it feels to lose, especially when you're Baker Mayfield and everybody, you were supposed to be like that guy.
Yep.
That's a whole that's a completely different story.
I think this is it got made out to be bigger than what it is. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but then him going to Twitter, it's Wednesday and we're still talking about this.
Yeah.
A little interview that happened on a Sunday after the game. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but of course it got made into something bigger.
Now go ahead and bring up your boys, man, in the blue.
Pacer spotlight, baby. It's that time.
Not those boys in blue, but we gonna come back to Pacers, man. Colts,
The other blue. Colts corner, baby. They're 5-2.
5-2.
Should I say it?
Go ahead and say it.
5-2, baby. I have it just typed that right on
That's
the notes.
what he wrote in the notes.
I'm so happy. But last Sunday's game against the Broncos, I wasn't happy.
I was happy only because they won.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't happy watching it.
Defensively, they surprised me a little bit. They weren't as good as they're usually.
As they were against the Chiefs and Texans. But one thing that I've noticed, it started against the Chiefs and then they did it against the Texans. Or no, it started against the Texans and then they did it against the Broncos as well, is I'm loving what I'm seeing out of their defense when it matters. They'll get driven down the field, and then twice against the Texans, twice against the Broncos.
Bend but don't break.
Yes. They got to the red zone, and they didn't get scored touchdown-wise. They gave up field goals. So instead of 14, they gave up 6. So that's huge. And then I looked up a stat. They're 36% in the red zone the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Touchdown-wise. So they're giving up touchdowns 36% of the time. It's like second in the league behind New England's insane defense right now.
That's
so they're second.
That's a completely different
second in the league in red zone D the last 3 weeks. So they're stepping up when it matters. But yeah, the Colts, man, I'm happy.
And I'm glad that you actually brought up the Patriots, not because I like the Patriots, but because Tom Brady, you can really sit behind Tom Brady and become somebody good.
Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett, man, look at what they're doing.
That's who's been surprising me, Jacoby Brissett, because when Andrew Luck retired, I was thinking like, okay, we're in trouble.
And retired 2 weeks before the season started.
Yeah.
So it's not like Brissett had a whole training camp, a whole offseason to know this is his team. No, 2 weeks before.
And he jumped in, and he hasn't disappointed.
That's my guy.
He has been, it's been a surprise because I would have never thought that he was that good at all.
Yeah.
And then if you look at that last play of the game against Denver, he shows you what he can do in clutch situations.
He's a big quarterback. You're not going to bring him down. Escaped Von Miller, escaped another Broncos defender, rolled out to the right, put the ball on a thread to T.Y. Hilton right on the sideline, extended the drive.
Now, one thing the Colts also have to work on is they need to take Rocky Sin in a meeting room, and they need to sit him down, and they need to show him like a video that teaches you how to cover receivers.
Because, dude,
without holding them.
They didn't have Quincy Wilson, third-year cornerback. They didn't have Dacier also. He got injured. So Rocky Sin, rookie cornerback, he's been playing fine all year. He hasn't been bad all year. But this game against Sutton, man, he was getting exposed. And it's not like he was just getting beat. He was making mistakes. He got four defensive, some holding calls, some pass interference, 4 defensive penalties. One was 27 yards to bring him to the 1 yard line on a pass interference. One was a pass interference on a 3rd and 10 play that was incomplete. They called the flag on it. He just got exposed, man.
It's crazy.
It was unfortunate.
When Rocky Sin first came, I was so excited.
Yep.
I was like, he got a beast.
Yep.
And
where'd he come out of Temple?
Yeah, out of Temple. And I got to watch him a lot, obviously, against Notre Dame because they played Temple a couple of times. So I was like, he's decent.
Yep.
But that's just the type of undisciplined, because as a defender, you have to be disciplined. You're already at,
of course,
so many disadvantages. Corner is probably one of the, if not the hardest position on the field. It's got to be one of the hardest because you're going against somebody who knows what the route is, who knows what the call is, and you're running backwards while he's running forward towards you.
Yep.
So you have to be disciplined. Technique is a big thing. So I feel like he has to get that together if they want to be successful at all. Now we can bring up the other blue.
Oh, man, the Pacers are actually playing right now. It's on a commercial. I can't check the score, but they're in Brooklyn tonight. Like we said, they'll be at home again Friday night against the Cavs. I will be there, so I'm excited to talk about that next week.
Let's talk about this Pistons play.
Man, we play the Pistons twice in 4 games, and then we play them again after the Cavs, I'm pretty sure. So we play them like 3 times in the first 6-7 games. It's unreal. They smacked us, bro. Dominated by Drummond in the paint. Drummond against us, 21-16 he was putting up against us. which is weird because
you've got to be able to make things happen in the paint and just in